What if we cross an attack of titans, a berserker, and a talented Korean? It is an unprecedented case when a manhwa comes out on this channel. And that means what? It means that I was able to find something really good after all. And so it is. In more detail we'll talk at the end of the video, but this is really cool trash, which is read excitedly. What is Manhwa Hell City about? About how the president of the country sold a city with a population of 4 million inhabitants to the devil. From everywhere, using blood as portals, terrible creatures began to crawl out, pursuing only one goal of extermination. The manhwa kind of resembles something. But forgive me, Honda, it seems you've been stuffed a little. Not visually, of course, but in a scenario for sure. Unfortunately, the manhwa is in ongoing, so it's not worth waiting for a continuation in the coming months. I will save up chapters until I have enough for a full retelling. However, I will still ask you to give feedback in the comments whether it is worth doing it or not. You never know, maybe she'll just come to me so well. The story begins with two men drinking and playing in the second. They chat about very ordinary things, about children. One has a daughter getting married soon. The second is still too early to think about all this, because he's just went to high school. Suddenly one of them is distracted by the address, "Excuse me, sir," which is heard at his feet. From scientists collecting human remains in isolation suits, a mutilated blue and bloated man without a lower body somehow crawled to him. He's in a lot of pain. Sometimes, if they don't die right away, the anesthesia stops working. Are they really forced to do this with real people? No one will help the test subject. For the fusion to succeed, they need fresh bodies. It's unlikely to calm down somehow. But everyone in this room will end up like him. The men leave. The subject begs for help, as something appears behind him that turns the pleas into a scream. Here we are transferred to the school, which is located in the city of Songcheon. A guy with glasses on the roof of an educational institution reads the news about a body found in the port. He asks his friend, Minho, our main character, if something similar could happen to them. He phlegmatically denies that everything bad has already happened to him. He is a member of the judo club who has just found out that he was not issued a representative. The place was given to a certain Paxin Min. Although he is weaker, but life is much easier when you are from a rich family. The bell rang. It's time to go to literature. Before leaving, Giji sees a child on the school grounds who suddenly disappeared somewhere. In the evening, Minho examines the social networks of his rival. It seems strange to him that he became a representative of the judo club, but has not yet been identified anywhere about it in any way. Song-min is weaker and has lost to the main character more than once. Defeats always unsettled him. Thinking about the opponent smoothly turns into Minho's existential reasoning that his life is Cal. The dream is given to another person to fulfill. He even had to get into debt to practice judo. Giji is distracted from self-flagellation by the sound from the window. It seems that the passerby shrank, and now he is sick right in the alley. Then we see that something is dragging us somewhere, and, of course, killing us. The next day, Minho learns the news from his friend. Paxin Min was suddenly transferred to Seoul. This means that the representative seat is still free. For this reason, the guy is not at school. Although, if you think about it, there is still no headman of the 6th grade and the president of the student council. Suddenly Minho ran away somewhere, back to the roof, where he is drawn every time something happens. This news gives him hope, and then Song-min appears behind his back, addressing him in a rude way. Yesterday, when he moved into a new house, he was suddenly visited by the thought, judo, why the hell did he give up on it at all? The most annoying thing here is that he got a representative, but he can't see Minho's drooping fuck. Therefore, he decided to return in order to summon such a facial expression with all his might. The main character is not interested in a fight and calmly lets you know about it, which only disperses the opponent's determination. He throws himself at Giji as he immediately finds himself on the floor. Having decided on a rough reception, Song-min grabs a pot and hits him on the head with it. Smashing it against the main character, he sits on top and marks in his head with a sharp part, promising to cut Minho so that even his own mother does not recognize him. When suddenly something strange appears on the horizon, Minho just lay there and watched as incomprehensible tentacle-like objects lattice Min's dream. When the creature disappeared, the whole class ran out onto the roof along with the teacher. They expected to see a fight, but instead witnessed a massacre. Later, in the director's office, the deputy informs Minho that the parents of the deceased will arrive here soon. He himself believes the main character that he is not involved. A person simply would not be able to cause such damage to another. But nevertheless, he must find out what happened. At school, they began to whisper about what they saw, saying that they had seen bites. The protagonist's friend Song Woo is still trying to figure out what happened there. Meanwhile, the children began to gather at the director's office. Minho himself told the whole truth. Really, here's how to describe this creature at all. Could it be that Song Min just hit him on the head, so hard that he imagined it? But then how to explain the wounds on the opponent's body? The teacher interrupts him, asking him not to try to remember every detail. He understands that it's hard for the student and wants to bring him the next one. Thought he believes him. Again, a person can't twist another person like that. Plus, knowing Minho, he wouldn't even try. The door to the office opens. With a distorted face inside is falling woman is a mother, a dream of mine. Accusing Gigi of murder, she will give. At the guy, clinging to his neck. She is about to strangle him, when suddenly she hears her son's voice repeating the word mom. The woman throws her head to the window and, despite the height, behind the glass sees his son. She comes closer, convincing herself that someone else was on the roof then, but her baby. The obsession quickly passes when he sees a dead face and a hand holding a guy's head in the air. A real monster is shown repeating the word mom. It opens its mouth, and 5 serpentine tongues with skulls on the tips are shown from the inside. Having broken through the window, it immediately clung to Sonmin's mother. The giant mouth split the torso in 2, while the tongues bit in different places in the upper part. Her scream and monstrous death were witnessed by other children who came to peep. Everyone, including the deputy, quickly rushed to run. Minho remained sitting there, unable to believe that the grotesque creature, as if woven from different parts of flesh, really stood in front of him. It opened its mouth, but immediately switched to a full schoolboy who stumbled and now can't find his glasses. Seeing his fatness, the monster passes. It will pass by and overtakes the poor guy when he found his glasses and was able to see what kind of horror was coming to him. The military is visible outside the window, so the children are saved. Minho falls down into the street through a hole in the wall when the creature pays attention to him. The creature is not chasing him, distracted by someone's moans. Rising, the main character goes to the side of the military. Suddenly hears the command to prepare to open fire. The soldier warns, one more step, and they will start shooting. Among them, Gigi sees a little girl in a skull mask. The military continues to speak, saying that from now on, the city of Songcheon is completely isolated. And then we are transported to another time and another place. In a room filled with journalists, a man in a suit comes out to the department. This is Jang Hae-gu, the current president of Korea. After presenting his first sentence, he confessed that he had sold the city of Songcheon to the devil. We return to the scene of events. The girl stepped forward. From behind, students seeking salvation poured out of the school door. Among them is Song Woo, a friend of the main character. A soldier raises a megaphone. In accordance with Article 76, according to the present Constitution of the Republic of Korea, by presidential decree, all areas in the city of Songcheon now have the status of a first-level quarantine zone. Accordingly, from this moment on, everyone who is in the quarantine zone is deprived of all the rights to safety and protection provided. Our states, your rights have been revoked. The deputy director comes forward, asking either to kill a terrible monster or to get out of the way. He is ordered to take a step back. Choosing between a bullet and a dozen teeth, he decided to take a chance with the first one. The soldier pulled the trigger. A monster jumped on top of the remains. The children rushed in horror. The creature had already thrown back its head, opened its mouth, and released dozens of its tongues, which began to grab one child after another. Minho and Song Woo are trying to manage somehow, until they turn around and see a bloody theater in which it not only killed everyone around, but also sucked the blood out of them. Horrified, not only they, but also the military are forced to carry out the order. The girl in the mask suddenly started talking, noticing that they had got enough material. Along the way, her progress towards the monster, the soldier asks the captain what is going on here at all. He himself is not privy to the details, he only knows that everything that is happening now is for the good of the survival of the human race. The girl took off the bone mask, cut the monster with it, and let out all the blood, saying that it was time to call God. Dead or unfinished schoolchildren fell down. The military immediately brought bags to them, scattering presumably salt over the territory, drawing a certain symbol. The screams and the blood of hundreds of innocents, and the gates that were erected by Ani. Now the preparations are complete. The last step of opening the gates is the blood of the caller and the willing. The girl bites her finger and drips blood on the ground. It instantly bubbled. A giant hand burst out of the trembling earth. Dozens of different monsters appeared next. The next chapter begins with a demonstration of some episodes from the life of the students, what happened then, and what is happening now. Then a guy and a girl with identical rings brag that their bows match each other perfectly. Now two monsters are devouring a guy and a girl with identical rings who joined hands before death. Then the guy squeezing the soccer ball suggests that the team score at least one more. Right now, his entire lower body was dissolved in monster paste. Then one guy mocks the other, forcing the pig named by him to eat rolls from the ground. Now Bulya, who is being eaten from four sides, asks to stop. His former victim is dead, but with a smile on his face. Now there are many creatures in the best traditions of Bersi. Circa hasn't finished harvesting yet. Even the military is shocked by what they saw. One of them very close hears a voice begging for help. A boy with short hair, whose head sticks out of the creature's mouth, begs to be saved. The soldier hesitates, despite the increasing cry. But the other lost his nerve. He fired, but the creature didn't stop it in any way. You can't interfere, but a soldier can't look at it. One way or another, there's no saving him from that guy. Having finished with the victim, the monster rushed to the soldier who pulled the trigger and smiled contentedly. Then he recoiled and craned his neck. He won't attack him. While still alive, they saw a car with a history teacher sitting in it. They think that an adult has come to save them and is already rushing to transport. But it wasn't there. The teacher just knocks down everyone who gets in the way. He drives straight at the military and gets a line through the windshield. The car, having lost control, still continuing to drive, rushes straight to the outpost and breaks a fence nearby. Another adult, a teacher of English, focuses panicked on the fence. This is the only way now to get out of here. Everyone who had time, including our heroes, rushed there and left the school grounds. The military is preparing to shoot, but the captain gives the command to hang up. There's no need for that. They left the school grounds, but the monsters continued to attack them there. After catching one girl, the monster placed her right in the cavity of his mouth. She would like to help, but even Gigi understands that it's too late. So they continued on their way until they reached the shelter. After telling another teacher that he will check first, the English teacher goes downstairs. We are briefly transported to the same military. Is it normal that they let the children escape? The captain replies that yes, in any case, wherever they go now, there is no salvation in this city. Breaking through the ground, right from under the shelter, a monster breaks out, eating both a random survivor and an English teacher. The children are forced to flee again. After some time, they did break away from this creature, but came across others. Monsters are all over the city, and new ones are emerging from pools of blood. Flying up from behind, one creature lifted the extra up. The girl rushed to him, although she understood that she would not help in any way. When she was doused with the guy's blood, she fell on the asphalt, and another creature got out right out of her. There were so many monsters that they easily surrounded an orderly group of survivors. Not knowing what to do next, students are turning to the teacher pack. When asked what to do, she found the answer and picked up a piece of glass, bringing it to her throat. She did not have time to do what she had planned. Coming from behind, the creature grabbed her leg and lifted her up, then closed in her palms and crushed her. The monsters began to attack. Some they ate, others they simply killed in all possible and cruel ways. It seems that Minho has already got used to the end that overtakes them, when suddenly a white fog poured out of the basement next to them. From the window, a voice shouts that it is safe here and calls to him. Grabbing a friend, Minho and the others rushed into the room. Along the way, one blonde man, his name is Lee Soo-hik, knocked Gi-ji off the road. He would have fallen into the monster's mouth, but he was saved in time by Song-woo. 3 hours have passed since the quarantine was announced. At a press conference, the president asking different questions to get specifics on what is happening. He explains that the quarantine is not related to Korean affairs or government or military experiments. It is associated with beings from the world beyond the comprehension of the human mind, with those who call themselves demons. Another reporter pulls his hand, and we meet a new character from the outside, a girl with different eyes from a dubious magazine, named Lee Dalri. She asks what people got from the devil in return for the answer to the survival of all mankind. She asks a few more questions. The last one sounds like this. Do you agree to call this the most inhumane decision of the government? The president agrees, it's exactly like that. At the end, he asks her to play the recording made by the troops who recently landed in Sangkar. The government's action is truly inhumane. He says, however, the concept of inhumanity can only exist as long as humanity itself exists. Then the broadcast stops. It was watched not only in other cities, but also by the group of survivors themselves, who are now hiding in the basement. Later, Song-woo treated Minho's wounds. The main character thanks the man who lives here and who saved them. He could not have done otherwise. His daughter Hyejin is almost his age. After that, he notices that Gi-ji is quite persistent. Everyone has been panicked for a long time, but he remains collected. And so it is, many are terrified, some are crying, some are calling for their mother. At least Minho is lucky that his family is outside of this city. But this man is not particularly. The daughter lives next to her ex-wife here. And this person can't find a place for himself, thinking that, what could or could happen? With angry shouts, the blonde one who pushed Minho rises up. He interrupts the cacophony of moaning and crying. You see, he had a headache from all this. If they have no brains, he'll explain something. First, monsters are sensitive to sounds. Second, they are now looking for them. Although they can keep howling if they want to die. Sanva takes the floor, asking to stop intimidating the already intimidated. But what is it about? He intimidates. Let the right guy look around, not in hell. We were able to live up to the present moment only thanks to luck. Minho also intervenes, spreading the conflict. However, they are immediately distracted by a schoolboy who has gone, declaring that they will all die. The blonde is going to kick him, but the blow is blocked by the owner, who then informs that they have a chance to get out. He had just begun to announce his plan, when the glass above bursts and a monster pounces on that schoolboy, clutching the upper part of his torso. And he would have killed him, but the owner took a knife and cut the creature's throat. It turns out that demons can also be killed. You can't stay here. Rescuers are unlikely to arrive, food and water will soon run out. Plus, the man has a daughter to whom he needs to go. He offers a plan, according to which it will be possible to leave in his car. The owner will try to get to her without attracting attention, while the rest of this room will distract the monsters. When he gets to the transport, he will drive up to the back door, which the door leads directly from the basement, and pick up the others. When he first moved in here, he was constantly swearing about the layout, but now I'm glad she's like this. He somehow decides to get out of the basement. He will do anything to save his daughter. So he got out, watching the monsters tear apart other people, somehow, but get to his car. Realizing that it's time to start, the students in the basement begin to attract attention to themselves. The monsters are immediately distracted by our group. Realizing that it worked, the owner is about to cover the rest of the distance when someone clings to his leg. One of the unfinished ones asks for help. Suddenly he starts screaming, and the creatures switch their attention back. The man falls, but thoughts of his daughter allow him to pull himself together and get into the car. Having started it, he presses the pedal to the floor, but stands still. The monster has already clung to the car. It is necessary to distract, but the screams don't work. Realizing that something needs to be done, Fox Hyuk runs outside, taking the lights. Taking him by the hose, the guy swings and sends him straight to the creature's head. Having received a pumpkin, the monster let go of the transport, but another creature immediately clung to the blonde. He almost ate it, but Minho came to the rescue. Returning to the basement, they went with the rest of the coop. The owner lied to them, the door is sealed, and he himself has already left. We are transported beyond the hellish city. Minho's mother and sister arrived by taxi to the road blocked by the military, leading to Songcheon, but of course they were turned around. The abandoned ones survived in the basement for 5 days, having eaten almost all the supplies. They are exhausted, there is almost no food left, and the monster's head stinks more and more. At night, the same schoolboy who was recently attacked crawled to his head. Looking at the monster and remembering, he begins to laugh. He's alive, but the monster is dead. The guy won. Everyone wakes up, and when they go towards the sound, they meet a madman who has put on a monster's head and picked up a knife. The guy starts dancing, laughing hysterically. Thus, he scares one of the schoolgirls, almost to the point of insanity, and then gets slapped in the face. Raising the knife again, the madman aims it at his throat. Minho tries to calm him down, but nothing helps. All his loved ones are dead, and soon he will join them. Then Song-woo is already trying to calm him down, and the empathic method helps. The student pulls himself together, but suddenly something happened that no one could have expected. The girl he had frightened grabbed the knife herself out of a distorted grimace, began to strike one blow after another. Smeared blood all over the floor, she hysterically laughs. And here we are again transported beyond the confines of the infernal city. In one of the capital's ports, a man sums up the information he has extracted. The president sold Songcheon to the devil, and after that the city was shrouded in thick fog. Then the military was stationed at 12 points, and a massacre began there in order to summon someone. Then the city was flooded with monsters that differ from each other in appearance and size. Plus, there is another interesting detail. These creatures distinguish ordinary citizens from the military and, accordingly, do not attack the second. The man with glasses asks to continue digging in this direction. Why him why? He replies that any businessman will feel here is a gold mine. And here we return to the madwoman, from under whose feet a monster appeared and swallowed her. So as a hideout is compromised, an urgent need to escape, but the creatures did not become less. Everyone ran upstairs. One of the monsters followed. The path led the heroes to the roof. In the distance, a giant shadow is visible in the fog. There is no exit from the roof, and the monster is already hammering into the doorway from the stairs. One of the extras reports that there is a way out and shows the wires. They need to secure them securely here, and then jump over the roof and secure them on the other side so that the others can crawl through. Who proposed the plan itself, its implementation will take. He has the best chance of success because the guy is an athlete and was engaged in long jumps. Having caught a flashback about failures and coaching instructions, he convinces himself out loud that he can. Then he takes acceleration and jumps. And he really would have succeeded, but a monster jumped out from somewhere on the side, biting off half of the torso on the fly. This is the only plan they have, so we need to try again. The blonde turns to the main character. He'll throw it up, and the guy will jump over and fix the wires. There's nothing to lose, so they try again. And Minho is doing well. Then, as the others crawl to another roof by wires, the president watches through the camera. A girl who appeared next to him asks if he is sorry. But he had created an extremely perfect model that surpassed all her expectations. Thanks to him, the gates were easily opened. Then she says that if Daddy gives up now, he will lose everything. He turns around with an evil look, but the girl has already disappeared. The author brings us back to the group. Having jumped over the roof, they lost 2 more on the way. They closed themselves in the stairwell. Besides, it seems bad for the blonde. He determines that he has symptoms of sepsis. The wound on the leg was not treated, so the infection began. Seeing the surprised faces of the others, he sarcastically asks, "Did others really think that if he looks like that, then it means stupid? I have to disappoint. He has some knowledge of medicine." So they have been together for how many days, and so no one has told anything about themselves. Then he exposes a certain Chesohee, a girl in a hood. She is the president of the school student council. And there's something that doesn't add up. It seems that rich parents moved their rich kids out of the city, knowing in advance what was coming. So why is she here? But so far, we will not get an answer to this question. And now we need to do something with the wounded man's leg before the complication begins. Minho suggests going to the hospital. Chai doubts whether it makes sense to go there. But there is no choice. The journey will take 15 minutes. They will move out at night. Very carefully, the president of the student council tries to lead the rest to the idea that it is not worth risking and going out. This, she believes, is reckless. The blonde does not like her attempts at hidden manipulations. If she's so smart, then why didn't she say anything before, and even hid under the hood? The girl recalls, when chaos reigned, other school children found solace in her and felt sorry when they were all devoured by monsters. And she could do nothing. And so she simply ran away. She doesn't answer questions, but she clenches her fists so that the shadows shake. She doesn't want to tell. Okay, just don't let her lecture the others when she hasn't done anything herself. Lee Soo-hyuk bluntly says that he did not like the president from the very beginning, always hiding his feelings behind a strained smile. Looking at her, immediately recalls the face of the one person he can't stand it. It's time to move out. Minho took the blonde on his back, and everyone started walking down the stairs. Cheso-hee says that the girl is right in her own way, but now is the time to act, not to reflect. If she doesn't want to go, let her stay with them. Minho doesn't force anyone. But of course she will go. Downstairs, they are trying to assess the situation. Releasing another passive-aggressive comment towards girls, Lee once again climbs on the back. It's quiet outside, but there are a lot of bodies. Seeing the expression on the face of the student council president, the blonde says to look only forward. So quietly and calmly the heroes walk down the street, carefully bypassing all the monsters. Along the way, Song-woo expresses fears that constantly seeing these terrible pictures, it seems, he is beginning to get used to it. He's afraid that at this rate it's possible to become the same as the guy who put the monster's head on top of his own. Chai says they will be rescued sooner or later. Lee Soo-hyuk calls her naive, and the country has abandoned them to their fate, so no one will definitely save them. They are scrapped. The heroes have reached their destination, but there is a small problem. There is no destination. The hospital disappeared, and in its place, there was a giant hole in space. We are transported out of the city again, but we already get into the editorial office of the Vzgliad magazine, where a different-eyed reporter works. She is trying to piece together a puzzle from what she managed to hear at a press conference with a package from an anonymous person, with materials of old cases. According to them, the radio host died in 1942. The autopsy showed that his insides literally fused with live fish. In 1956, an incident occurred in a French prison. 12 prisoners disappeared without a trace right in the shower. 1976, American actor disappeared in the film. In his trailer, discovered a severed hand, which continued to stir for another 12 hours. At first glance, there is nothing in common between these events, but intuition screams that everything is connected here. An unknown person approaches from behind, who praises the reporter Lida All. He can help her get to the truth. He knows that the president has investigated all these cases before, as if he has been secretly preparing for something for many years. He suggests Lytle to go to Songcheon. A man does not force her. If he refuses, then he has someone else to offer. But she's going. The girl has not given her consent yet, but it is clear from her face that she does not know how to hide her emotions. Back to the group. There is no hospital, so they decide to go in search of a pharmacy. Once inside, they finally treat Fox Hayek's leg. It will work for the first time, but it will be difficult without normal treatment. We need to discuss what to do next. But then someone approaches two men. Sanwoo shouts for everyone to quickly hide behind the shelves. But these are people, so there's no need to hide them. But no, according to a friend of Giji, at such moments people are much scarier than any monsters. Everyone is hiding. And how did Sanwoo turn out to be right? First of all, they came from a camp where there are survivors. Secondly, they are complete murderers who enjoy what is happening with might and main, because here and now you can kill with impunity. A little more, and they will be able to have a lot of fun in that very camp. One of the scumbags finds our group. The second one is already swinging the hammer as the door to the pharmacy opens again. These are other survivors from the same camp who were worried that the bandits had left alone and came to the rescue. You have to behave well in front of them, so the killers immediately change their masks. Lock up the survivors, they are called to join the camp. They agree, but so far they say nothing about the true intentions of the bandits. Along the way, they discuss when it is better to waste our group and also turn to the main character, asking not to take their chatter seriously. Their camp is a church. There are quite a few survivors inside, and they welcome their own very warmly. The pastor is in charge of everything here. The guy with blue hair informs him that he has brought new ones, and then asks the local doctor to examine the blonde. He examines Lee's leg and is amazed at how well it is processed. Aggression is shown by another new character who is dissatisfied with an extra mouth. A muscular man reports that in such a world, pity will only bring everyone to the grave. Golubovik not agree, and the big one is raised, asking whether precise to die by his hand or is it from the hands of a monster. He is distracted by the cry of a little girl. This is his daughter, who scolds her father with an important look and bows in apology for her bad father, promising that she will talk to him seriously. Everyone lay down to rest. Minho keeps thinking about those two. Lee Soo-hyuk is already asleep. The rest are afraid to sleep. Suddenly there is a scream. There was a crowd at the door. A corpse bloated from something incomprehensible was found. Have the bandits really started to act? But no, to everyone's surprise, the victim was one of them. It's not like he went outside and ran into a monster, besides on it. Stab wounds are clearly visible. But who would want to kill a psychopathic killer? Song-woo notices that they now need to sit quietly and not shine. Most likely, the locals will start thinking about newcomers. The second bandit appears with tears in his eyes. He wants to open the door to his brother, but the brawlers are against it. The psychopath asks, did he mutilate his brother like that? Well, let's say the second one is smiling. And then what? They immediately rush at him with a knife, but the blow only cut the t-shirt, exposing the fully tattooed cake of the big guy. After that, the real bandit hit the psychopath on the head with such force that he lost consciousness. The blue-haired man chastises, saying that the victim could have simply been twisted. There was no need to hit. After all, his brother died. Oh, poor thing, the man answers. His brother died, so you can throw yourself at people with a knife. And I, who have a living daughter, should stand and receive, right? The blonde admits that, although it is rude, but in fact. Then someone suggests that the big guy's name is Ganhu and killed the first one. He turns the arrow on the newcomers. The old people don't believe, they're just kids. But Gonghu declares that there is no such thing as children in this world anymore. And he actually killed his first man when he was 14. With the words he found something to be proud of, his daughter appears. Her name is Dabin, saying that it was only necessary to turn away, as Dad again screwed things up. The girl bows again, explaining that her father had to work at a young age instead of studying. Therefore, he has huge problems in education. And that's why my daughter asks for his forgiveness. Golubovas offer to disperse. A monster can appear from the blood of the victim at any moment, so they will take the body later. Everyone obeyed him. Minho notices that everyone is really looking at them askance now. Lee Soo-hyuk takes the floor, saying that he noticed something strange. The corpse had veins bulging on the outside of its face, and the blood had clotted badly. This may indicate the use of dipentropofol as a type of anesthesia. In microdoses, he puts to sleep, and with an overdose, veins appear, and the blood begins to thicken. The human body falls into paralysis, but he remains conscious. The rest are doubtful. The main character finds this a far-fetched theory. But the blonde does not agree, this is not a theory. He himself saw the drug at the doctor. The mentioned one immediately appeared, noticing that they were whispering, and deciding that it was him they were discussing. He himself came up allegedly to inspect Yugurinen again. After glancing at his bag, Soo-hyuk already wants to ask something, but again everyone is distracted by screams. Some of the survivors began to lose their nerves. They've been here 4 days. Food supplies are getting smaller, and now there's murder. You need to look for a place povezovange, so someone take your food and go. The pastor asks everyone to calm down. These are all the trials of the Lord. If they give in to panic and start thinking only about themselves, their suffering will only be prolonged. The surviving bandit sends it all in 3 letters. The pastor shows compassion to him as well. The old man takes the priest away, and his old lady tries to calm the heated psychopath. Other survivors who want to leave continue to scream. Then the blue-haired one decides to calm them down. It's dangerous outside, so in the evening, he goes to investigate and check if there are monsters nearby. And when he returns, they will sit down together and decide what they will do next. One woman, in addition to intelligence, asks to check the high school where her son goes. She is very worried about her child. Soo-hik understands that she is talking about the very school where they studied. When he says that they are almost all gone, the mother is changing in the face. The headman tries to smooth over the corners, saying that many still manage to escape. When the time came, Blue Vlas decided to go exploring. He takes the bandit with him, and Song-woo also imposes himself on them. Minho wants to go too, but he has to stay with himself. Scabies and dryness. Giji's friend will be careful, so let the main character not worry about him, but rather look after others. Late at night, Minho can't sleep, and the blonde does not sleep either, closely watching the doctor. As if sensing another discussion, he approaches them himself, and then already. Soo-hik bluntly declares that he knows everything. After hearing about the funds, the doctor says that a young man approached him the other day. That's Sinavlisova's name. Saying that he used to be a nurse, he asked for some of this money to help the victims. And now we see how on the street, pretending to be an angel, injected it. Funds in the second bandit. All right in front of the guy with glasses. He knew that these bandit brothers were complete creatures, but thanks to the existence of such, he himself could enjoy the process to the fullest. Having tied his hair in a ponytail, Yeonsu confesses to killing the first, and begins to stab the second. Wiping the blood from his face with his jacket, and saying that it was the fall of his head, he turned towards Sonav with a smile. From here we are transported to a flashback. There Minho and his friend are standing on the roof. Giji decides to ask why the guy with glasses is friends with him at all. Here the moment is interrupted, and we see Minho. Gon-ho tries to break free to run in search of his friend. Everyone is trying to reason with him, including the pastor, who offers to pray for Sonav's safe return. When he stutters about the test again, Gon-ho intervenes, saying that it's all bullshit, pointing at some woman. He says she almost chewed off her husband's hand for an extra spoonful of soup. Another man recently drew a cross on the floor with his shit and began to pray to him. Someone grabs the handle of the door leading to the exit. This is the woman whose child studies at the same school as our group. She can't wait any longer, but once she's in the hallway, a monster is visible behind the glass doors. From drawing attention to the victim, he breaks the glass door and rushes to the entrance of the church. As soon as the woman flew inside, the men began to hold the door. She can't stand it for so long, so we need to come up with something. The one who started this mess suggests using the bait of the elderly, for example, or the wounded. Then one grandfather asks to open the door. Of course, he doesn't want to be a bait, so he intends to chop off the monster's head with his sword. He is a military officer who received this weapon in gratitude for his service. There is no choice, so the others are going to open. When they count to 3, the Besiakaya woman asks to wait. Anyway, letting a monster in here is pure madness. Now is the time to ask the pastor about the back door and get the answer that there is no one. The door breaks down, throwing everyone holding in different directions. Monster inside. The same woman says that she needs to get out to her son. Dabin ran to his dad, who is now unconscious. The daughter tries to shake her father as the aforementioned mother hovers right over her. Asking the child to become a bait, she grabs the girl, swings, and throws it to her. The next chapter begins with the same flashback on the roof. Minho repeats his question about why the guy with glasses is friends with him at all. He's not from the rich, empathy is 0, and he's boring in himself. To Sonav, this question seems silly. A friend is just a friend. There is no need to look for a hidden meaning in this. And anyway, why did Giji think he was boring? He has no idea what a funny guy he is. On the surface, yes, detached, but as soon as he goes off the rails, he immediately turns into a complete psychopath. Minho jumped towards Dabin. Catching the girl in flight, he covered her with himself and was immediately caught by the leg. They were about to be swallowed, but then a priest appeared, saying that Mr. Monster was also a creation of the Lord. The Almighty is watching them, so he asks them to let the children go alive. A powerful blow was about to overtake him, if not for the old man. Minho and the girl flew to the wall, and they were caught by an extra. The monster loomed over the old military man. His wife has already run to her husband. Grandma, he turned to her one last time. Run away now. A strong blow, after which he would not recover, sent his grandfather flying. The monster roared, starting to kill the third-rate characters. Hearing their screams, the pastor slowly got up, looked at the bodies, looked at the grandmother bending over her husband, turned his gaze to the monster that was going to send another victim to the mouth under the cross. Then Gung-hoo catches his attention. He saw everything, regained consciousness when Dabin was sent flying. And so he says thank you to the main character. Realizing that there may be only one way out of here, he takes a road sign with the inscription "Give way" and hits the monster with it. We briefly switch to the street, where the cat is hidden in the garbage. A monster appears next to him, but not to attack. After picking a flower, the creature bends down and hands it to the animal. When he sniffed it and went in the other direction, the creature turned in the direction of the church. There, no matter how strong Gong-hoo was, the monster was still not equal to him. Lifting him up by the leg in front of his daughter, the creature attacked with his fist. The man's shot was blocked, but creature, only amused. Minho notices that the attacker has started to smile, as if he enjoys bullying a person. Lee Soo-hee reaches for the ball. The president of the student council is trying to reason with him, but what kind of way out of this situation can there be? While they were talking, someone else picked up a gun from the floor. Dabin tries to break out of the main character's fight to help his father. Then the blonde suddenly shouts Giji, asking if he can knock the creature down. Seeing someone clutching a sword and hearing a baby crying, Minho promises that she will save her father. Rushing to the breach, he sticks something into the monster's leg. He produces Ganhu and then aiming a fist at the guy. Recoiling, Minho closes from the blow, but still almost goes in. Flight. Having resisted, Giji grabs the creature's arm, intending to throw it to the floor. After coming to his senses and standing between the creature's legs, Gong-hoo also tries to help him. So the monster ends up on the ground. The grandmother, the wife of a military officer, who has been holding a sword all this time, approaches him. Slashed at the neck with a sword. The gun was sunk up to, but not very deep. The skin is too thick. There is not enough strength, and the demon is already pulling his hands towards her, as Cheso-hee turns out to be next to her, and pushes the blade deeper with his foot. With tears in her eyes, she turns to the blonde along the way, that she is not a coward, and with these words they finish off the creature. When it was over, the survivors began to carry away the bodies of the dead. There was also a milled-up woman among them, who will never know whether her son survived at school or not. Minho immediately continued trying to go to his rescue. To his friend. Friends made attempts to stop him. The doctor also joins the conversation. He manages to cool the ardor of the main character a little. They can't stay here anyway. As soon as they finish shoveling the bodies, everyone will go their separate ways. And then the doctor promises to go, together with Giji on the search for his friend. An unremarkable guy with bangs on his face, similar to Giji Kentaf, promises to join. Continuing the conversation, they also noticed that the monster did not eat people, and just maimed. It's good at least that he didn't leave blood better, but if you think about it, monsters usually do that. What they eat. Grandma bent over the body lying under the sheet. A priest approached her, who, judging by his appearance, began to lose faith. She suddenly turns to him, telling him that her husband was a military man, retired not so long ago. Their daughter's family lives in America, and they could not come to the retirement ceremony. But quite recently, they still managed to buy time to fly to Korea. Before it all started, they left the house to drive to the airport. Now Grandma is going there. She needs to meet her daughter, whose plane was supposed to arrive just in time for the beginning of this Satan's ball. As soon as she meets her daughter, she will immediately tell her that her father has died. He died as a hero, saving people. Shedding tears, she asks the pastor not to blame himself, but just to pray with her. The priest comes closer and bends his knees. After some time, the heroes think about where to move on. Lee Soo-hik and Sela, the ancestors, are all there. They sent him to Songcheon because he had already fucked everyone up. Shikasoki still doesn't want to tell what happened at her place. Grandma comes up to them. She says that if the children have nowhere to go, they can go with her, the pastor, and Ganhu with Dabin to the airport. There should be a lot of foreigners there, so there is reason to hope that foreign countries will send help to save their tourists. There are no other options anyway, so everyone agrees. Minho too, but asks to give him 2 days to find his best friend. After 2 days, everyone left the church. Sonova could not be found. Others are trying to calm Giji down. They say the guy is 100% alive. Before leaving, the main character scratches a message on the wall in case a friend returns there. It says, "If you're alive, go to Songcheon airport immediately." After some time, the group found a place to rest in a diner. The airport is still very, very far away. There's a supermarket, so they will go through him to get some food and supplies. Perhaps, if they are lucky, they will meet other survivors along the way. We see that dead monsters are lying in front of the hypermarket, and standing outside the window, a man is looking at them. The end of the first part. Oh, how pleased I was with such a find. Many of you are aware of my attitude towards manhwa. Whatever I was grabbing for, of all of them, only the bastard managed to really interest me. The same sweet house I dropped for a sweet soul. Although at the same time, I continued to search tirelessly, unable to believe that a whole cultural layer could not give me a good story that would interest me personally. And what was my surprise? I'm not even afraid to say that the author is too good for this genre, and I'm too bad to convey every aspect in the retelling. It is immediately clear what the author was inspired by. He absorbed the best, but at the same time showed his own skill. Creatures of the same characters. But let's, as always, go in order. The drawing, of course, is in a typical Korean style. As for me, they are all very similar to each other. Some kind of powerful detail, like in a Japanese manga or in a Korean manga, which is not a webtoon, cannot be expected here. Therefore, it is not particularly correct to compare. However, I would like to note separately how the colors in this case complement the entourage of the destroyed city and work on the mood. The atmosphere is conveyed just fine. Some monsters are drawn more funny than threatening. However, many on the contrary cause a feeling of discomfort. The design of the very first one seemed crazy to me at all, in a good sense of the word. Such frames caused me delight and a slight nostalgia for the times when I, who had forgotten about everything in the world, read Berserk for the first time. Moreover, directing is also worthy of special mention. The way some scenes are served to us, what kind of plan is given out for them, how the author is able to create a slight shock, and at the same time not resort to excessive graphics, and also attention to flashbacks. Most of them are not served to previously used drawings, which many mangaks like to sin, yes, Kata Takahira. For some, he even drew scenes from the first person, in order to more accurately convey the emotions of the character. Of course, there were also shoals, although they are so insignificant that you can safely close your eyes. For example, the shoes on the feet of the main character. In one scene he might be in sneakers and other sneakers and a circle. Then we move on to the characters. Most of them are incredibly colorful. What is the empathic Song-woo, or is it Suhik, whose true character is hidden behind the image of an asshole? At first glance, Minho seems natural. The guy got into debt for the sake of his own dream, but lost it only because a weak rival has richer parents. The ever-swearing big man Gonho, and his little daughter Dabin, who, because of her father's temper, is forced to be the eldest. Persistent pastor that has yet to accept the reality and make a choice to preserve their faith or not. The student council president hasn't really opened up yet, but she didn't really have time to show herself. Except, of course, the last scene. But I hope the author will reveal it more. Moreover, most of the characters from other planes behave as they should. A separate respect to Sensei, who saw the first body, and soberly reasoned that Giji could not kill a person like that, and would not, taking into account his character. Even politicians behave like politicians here. Looking ahead a little, I will say that the president will quite logically justify some points. In general, the characters here are as lively as possible, and their dialogues are organic and interesting. And a little bit about violence. Although the central characters are protected by the story armor, but there is a slight feeling that now it is only because the plot part has not really developed. At the same time, someone new constantly appears, mostly to throw in as many murder scenes as possible. And at the same time, please note, the author is perfectly possible to show the violence and cause a slight feeling of shock, without resorting to drawing divided. There is no strong accent, so this kind of violence can be called graphic with a stretch. And finally, the plot. The narrative part develops gradually. It focuses primarily on the topic of survival and on the characters themselves. But at the same time, Chekhov's weapons are placed here and there. What about Lidl? What about the president? What about that entrepreneur? Since Manhwa is in ongoing, of course I don't know myself what will happen next, although I have read all the chapters published at the moment. The situation is slowly developing, but so far, there has not been a full disclosure of everything that is happening. However, taking into account everything that is happening now, I have a very strong confidence that it will only get steeper in the future. Anyway, now the story is read avidly. The characters seem to be prescribed, and the dialogues, again, are interesting. Everything that is happening seems, no matter how it sounds now, unusual within the usual standard tropes with survival. But because of the president and some riddles, it seems that there is something more behind all this. The only thing that confuses me is the girl in the bone mask. First of all, lowly villains do not impress me at all. Secondly, if all this results in a standard dad, he did everything to save his daughter, and we remember that she called him daddy. It will be a drain. At least, because such a trail is already pretty fed up. What is the result of the most beautiful Manhwa, which is read in the choke? It is interesting and somewhat unpredictable, with unusual ideas and good implementation. The potential is gigantic, and I will look forward to each next chapter with impatience. I'll keep reading anyway. Actually, how do you like Manhwa Hell City? Share your opinion in the comments, it will be very interesting to find out. And also, if you think you know Manhwa better, share it in the comments, I will definitely get acquainted. And of course, write, would you like to see the continuation or not? And that's it for today. I remind you about the likes and subscriptions that help my channel develop. Thank you all for your attention. I love you all, and bye to everyone.